Welcome back. So next I want to be able to actually click this guy, the add button, and I want to show a way for us to start adding addresses. Now, my initial idea was kind of to have just a single field like this, but I want instead to split this into three different areas where I can put in the street name, the street number, and the actual city. So we're going to have three different input fields for this. And I'm going to use, of course, the beautiful form builder. So let's try and just recap a bit on that. So jumping into my code right here, we're going to need a form builder and we're going to need a form group to actually work with forms inside our address list component right here. So first of all, let's go and grab the form builder, and I'll make it private FB for form builder right here, and I'll actually in there I'm going to actually add the form builder, right? So that's what we need to kind of start building our data right here. What we want is the form builder to build some kind of form group for us, just like we did earlier. So I'm going to make a new form group property right here, and let's just call it address group. Now you can also call it address form, that's really up to you, the naming doesn't matter that much, and that's going to be a form group, and that form group is then going to be built by our form builder right here. So we'll do this dot form group, address group equals form builder dot group, right? So that's how we're going to build our new group right here. Inside that group, what we're going to do is we're going to add these properties, right, for what we need, and we are going to need a street, right? And that street is just going to be a very simple string for now. We can change that later. We're going to need a number, and that number is also just going to be a string for now. And then we're going to need a city, right? So look how simple it actually is for us to define these properties that we require to actually build our form right here. So now that we have the address group available, the next thing that we need is actually start using this in our HTML. So we're jumping into the address list component, and for now below the button we're going to add a new form right here, and that's going to again have a specific form group. So in here we can kind of add square brackets and explain that we're going to have a form group right here, again just like we did earlier with the last form group we built. And here the form group that we want to use is the address group that we just actually made. So let me just put in the right one, there we go. So now we know the form is actually going to use that group right there. The next thing I kind of want in here is actually a div, because I'm also going to use the class that Bootstrap provides called form group. So there should also be something called the form group in here for Bootstrap. There we go. So now we know that this is going to be form that we are starting to build. Now if you forgot all of this, try to actually have a look inside your create component HTML right here. If you scroll to the top right here, you'll actually see this is how we build a form, and this is how we actually added the div, and now we need to start adding the labels right here and the input fields. So that's the next step that we want to do. And let's just go back and create our first label right here. Label, there we go. And that label is going to have the class, and that class is going to be of the type center, right? That's what we put in there. Let's just have a look. Center block. I'm not going to grab all the space for my label, so I just want to use the center block right here. So putting in center block like this. Now inside that label I need an input field, of course, so let's just put in an input field right here. Oh, I also need the text. So here we're going to put in the first one that I'm going to put in here is going to be the street, right? Street, like this. That's the first label I want to put in there. It's going to need an input field, and that input field is also going to have a bit of information, and I'll just jump back to show you guys. It's going to have the class form control, and it's going to have the form control name of street in our case, right? So again, you can go and reuse some of this code if you forgot how you actually wrote this in the beginning. So let's try and make first the class of form control, and this is for the look and feel, right, from Bootstrap. And then we're going to have the other thing is for the actual explaining to the system what the form control should be named inside this specific form group, right? So the form control name, that's the other part that we need. Form control name, there we go. And in this case it should just be named street. And how do I know that? Well, that's jumping back to the TS file here. I can see that the address group has a name called street right here. So now we pretty much have the label ready, and let's just see if it actually shows up right now in our beautiful form right here. And there we go, now we have the street available. It shouldn't show always, but we'll figure that out later. But now we have the street available if we want to add a new one, right? Let's try and jump back, and let's just copy this label for the other ones as well. So we also want a number. And again, we're going to point to number as the control. Again, if you look at the code here, you can see we have a number. And the last one we have is the city. So I'll add that right below this guy. We'll add one called city. and that's going to be reference to the city right here. Okay, so now we actually hooked up our form control, or our form group, sorry. All we need is pretty much just a submit button, so I'll just add that here in the end, a button, and that's going to be of the type submit, like this, and that button is just for now going to say add, nothing else for now. Let's just have a look at the code, and now you have something here that looks like a way for us to start adding new cities and streets, addresses to our actual system. Now I'm starting to consider if I even want this plus sign right here, I could just add that right here, right? And then just say you can always add a new city if you want to. This guy will just be there all the time. If you want to add more cities, just press the add button. I think we'll do that just to make this simpler. I'm actually going to do that. So the submit right here is going to actually get the plus sign from here. It's actually going to be this button. Let's just grab this entire button right here, remove this, pull right information, and just place that button down here instead. Now again, that's up to you how you want to do it. You can do it in a lot of different ways as always, so you just have to pick how you want to kind of work with your button right here. One more thing I want to add to this button now is actually the type submit, because I just removed that by mistake. So there we go. Now we have the button here as well. Let's try and look at the beautiful view we have now. Here it is, the button. And I kind of want it to be pulled, to not be pulled right, so let's just remove the pull right here. And there we go. Now it should actually be right next to my beautiful view here. So now we can start adding new addresses without having to show or hide stuff. It looks easier. Let's just do this and press add, and then it'll pop up here. Sweet. That's it for this lesson. Now we have a form that we can start working with. Have fun.